1 out of every 5 people in Lebanon is now displaced from their home. Not 1 in 50, 1 in 5. We'll find out why 46 days later, this is a catastrophe in Lebanon. All that on the Forward Report. We're going to have a good time. Let's do it. Welcome back to the Forward Report, your weekly foreign policy show that gives you the gory details of geopolitics with hopefully some laughs along the way. I am your foreign policy curious and exasperated host, Seena and with us in the virtual studio for one more week is Columbia Journalism School grad and comedian and filmmaker, Travis Irvine.
Bam, bam, bam. It's Tracksuit Tuesday.
Tracksuit.
We record on Tuesdays, and Seena and I are both in tracksuits. We're getting this show back on track.
Oh, my God. Travis, it has been a wild week.
It's been a wild month. You can say it's been a wild...
It's been a wild 3 months, 4
years?
Since inauguration. I think it's been a bit messy.
Since the Escalator 2015, I'd say it's been a wild one. Wild ride.
That's 11 years. Oh, my God. Oh, heavens. It's funny. Last week, big thanks to Gisunia. Another great example of why I shouldn't read the comments. I think people's brains are broken. People, when you see a clip on Instagram, it's not going to cover the entire episode or every possible opinion we're going to have.
No. Yeah, people on social media, I think, don't understand. There's a whole hour-long show that the 90-second clips get pulled from, but whatever, we don't read the comments, so it's all good.
I don't read the comments. I don't read the comments. I didn't brick my phone after I opened Instagram yesterday. No, not me. That would not be something I do. Nope.
No.
Never. I'm above that. High road. See, this is the low road. Right. Here's the high road, and here's the super high road. Right. I get super high on that road.
Oh, that's a fun road.
That is
fun. You're in a helicopter? That's pretty cool.
I wish. All right, let's talk about this Lebanon thing, because Operation Epic Fury started.
Can I interject? Can we call it Operation Epstein Fury? Can we just make sure? It's not even my thing. That's the internet's thing. And I'm just like, maybe new policy on this show.
I think
Operation Epstein Fury.
Hold on. Adam, are you okay with that? Adam's okay with it. Danielle's okay with it. All right.
Danielle, great.
Hold on. Let me talk to Henry, who has a chip in my head. Henry, is that okay?
Hello, Marcus. Yep. He's cool with it. Great.
Everyone's cool with it. That's good. Hold on. Gotta talk to the CIA. Are you guys cool with it? Yep. They're cool with it too.
All right. I'm talking to Mossad, and they're a little on the fence about it, but I think this is a democracy. So.
Hold on, just got a text from the IRGC. They are 100% in support of it.
Right. Oh, hold on. I'm getting a new Lego video to my phone.
Put your phone down. Put your damn phone down.
Oh, no.
Listen, when Khamenei was assassinated by, Israel and the United States on the first day of the war, Hezbollah, being a proxy of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which they say they're not a proxy, but I mean, they're a proxy. And we'll find out more on why there's clear indications, even in how they fight, that shows that they're a proxy. But they immediately started firing rockets into northern Israel. And that is something that we're going to, the rockets themselves, I think is an interesting thing, because they fire a specific type of rocket into Israel. Now, the war, as the Islamic Republic expands the war to all the Gulf countries, Hezbollah is starting to lob rockets into Israel. And then Israel, when there's a ceasefire, or at least a temporary ceasefire on the table.
Hold on. Let me guess. They totally cease firing?
Yes, they all got together at the border, Israelis and Hezbollah, not even the Lebanese Hezbollah, just Hezbollah in general. And they all broke bread.
Oh,
and they all got along.
That's so heartwarming.
So that's the episode for today, about 2 groups of people that really disagree, but that could come together. You all know that's not true. On April 8th.
I'm going to guess that's not true. You're being facetious, sir.
Did you know what the operation was even called, Travis, that Israel started on April 8th?
Probably not Epstein Fury, because that's been taken by the internet.
Kind of close. Operational Eternal Darkness.
What the hell? That's so morose.
It is so gross. So that ends up being against Lebanon. And this is, by the way, April 8th. This is a month after the president of Lebanon went on television and banned Hezbollah from operating. They said, we do not want any part of Hezbollah. They don't represent Lebanon. We do not want them to be, we don't want Lebanon to be the stage for anyone else's wars. There's been too much destruction. They want no part of it.
Great.
Okay. So despite all that, Israel's going to Israel.
Oh, no.
And there's just 50 Israeli jets dropped 160 munitions, hitting over 100 targets in 10 minutes.
Wow.
They struck central Beirut during rush hour, hitting at least 5 different commercial and residential neighborhoods. They said that they were after, quote, Hezbollah command and control centers, intelligence hubs, missile infrastructures, aerial and naval units. This is the largest coordinated attack since 1980. Wow. And this is, again, catastrophe.
Sure, and Israel justifies this by saying it's basically part of the Iran operation, that Iran's, as you said, proxies and Hezbollah are as much of a threat to Israel's existence as the Ayatollah and the Iranian regime.
Yes, and there's a...
Is there improv? Is this an improv game?
Exactly. Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
That's as far as we go.
We lost the audience. Listen, yes, you're absolutely right. And there's another reason it goes to what we'll talk about in a minute here, what Israel's military strategy is when it comes to Hezbollah, when it comes to specifically fighting in Lebanon, because there's a history for this. But just to be clear, 46 days later, 1.2 million people have been displaced from southern Lebanon. Over 2,200 people have been killed, and more than 7,500 people have been injured.
It feels like that would happen after a bunch of military jets drop a bunch of bombs at rush hour, but yes, of course.
Exactly. And it's crazy. They also, in as part of this campaign, they bombed a ton of bridges. And we'll talk about more specifically the bridges and why they did this, but I just want to show people how far into Lebanon they're doing airstrikes, right? So you could see clearly what southern Lebanon is, right? It's close to the border. It's the northern part of Israel. But you're looking at like 20, I think it's 20, 30 miles north. Pardon me if my numbers are wrong there. But the Qasimiya Bridge over by the Mediterranean to the far left. And they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way to the Dalafa Bridge. They blew up those bridges. They bombed all those bridges. And one of those reasons, of course, is that they don't want Hezbollah military aid and munitions to come through those bridges to cross the Litani River. The other problem is that there are civilian arteries of getting food, water, supplies. This is, again, a catastrophe. And where do we get to the war crime part of it? I mean, it's like, this is what is like disgusting. So what you said earlier, it's about why. Why did they do this approach? Why do they have this just leveling approach? It's because there's a history for it. And Israel, and this is going to surprise a lot of people, does not follow any rule of proportionality.
What? I know. Hold on. What are you saying?
Stay in your seat. Stay in your seat.
Hold on. They were very careful finding Hamas in Gaza. We know that. Ever since October 7th, 2023, they've been very precise with their strikes.
Precise? Just, no, don't want to go, not too much. Not too much.
Just very precise.
Just so in 2006, there was the Lebanese war that they had that they were bombing. They did it again.
I remember that. I was in college and I saw it on the news.
And this was a response to rockets that came in, and you could see who started what or whatever. But the thing that they did was they leveled neighborhoods and districts in Lebanon. And one of them was the Dania district. And it was leveled by the IDF. And when I mean leveled, I don't mean metaphorically. I mean leveled. It was a neighborhood in southern Beirut, and it was a Hezbollah stronghold. And they destroyed the entire area. And what it does two things. It creates a deterrent of overwhelming force, right? If you see that they're just leveling the entire area, you're going to maybe think twice about forging a counterattack. And also, if you level every building, civilian buildings included, then you also have no place to put a troop or a group of troops or a platoon or whatever to stage an attack as well. And this, in 2006, became the foundation for what they would do in Gaza. The same tactics they did there, they're now doing again. And they're now going to occupy southern Lebanon, and they're up to 20 miles inside the Lebanese border. Whoa. And so some people say this is the Greater Israel Project. Whether you think it's about Israel expanding its territory or a military campaign, the effect is still the same. They are going to occupy land, and whether they claim it as it's funny to call it a defensive position.
Yes. You know, when you go into another country with ground troops and expand your territory, it's actually defense.
We're playing defense. Whoa, just defense.
It's a good defense is a good offense. That's what the cook from Alice, used to say.
It's so, again, they tried to do this, decapitation process, and on April 9th, they struck Beirut and killed the Hezbollah Secretary General. Again, we've talked about this ad nauseum. Decapitation strategy does not work. It only works when there is a figurehead at the top of the food chain, at the top of the organizational structure that basically runs everything. But these command structures like Hezbollah and Hamas and the IRGC and the Islamic Republic and they are all they have a huge hierarchy, right? And so when you kill one, they keep moving. More people get promoted up. It's the same. Look, Hamas still is around. They're hurt a lot, right? Their capacity's diminished. Same with Hezbollah. They're still firing rockets. They did that whole pager thing. They killed Nasrallah in Iran. It's like, bro, like you apparently are supposed to. How many decapitations can you have? And you know what's really morbid, Travis? I was thinking, what's been a decapitation strategy that clearly has worked?
Oh, no. The French Revolution?
No, it's very recent. It's really bad.
Oh, no. All right, you morbid mother, give it to me.
TP USA.
Oh, no. Seena, we're going to get in so much trouble. Oh, no, I'm definitely getting calls. Now I'm definitely getting... No, Henry, I'll bring him back. We're both wearing tracksuits. I'll make a tracksuit joke.
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
It is chaos and Turning Point. We are going to get to some Turning Point clips later in the show, but yeah.
Exactly. If you look at all the events at TPUSA, they're all chaotic. They have a fraction of the people there, and they're still doing events, basically martyring and talking about the martyr Charlie Kirk.
Wow.
And they have no structure. They weren't organized. It all revolved around Charlie. And so there was no one to kind of take the mantle from this thing. I know. This was when I thought of this the other night. I was like, boy. I feel safe talking with you, Travis. Good thing no one else is listening.
Yeah,
Just
no one's recording. This will never make it to air.
This will never make it.
Don't you worry.
No one will have any comments.
But also, you're right. Decapitation works.
And who did it? I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know. I'm just going to tune into Candace later.
Right.
That's all I'm doing. And so there's this thing that's happened in southern Lebanon, right? And they've been pushing into southern Lebanon by 20 miles, and they've pushed in areas all the way up to the Litani River. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is years ago, Hezbollah realized they can't have giant missiles in a truck and like load them in a truck and then move them where there's a launcher. And then because you could see that from a satellite, there's a heat signature, there's all these things. So instead of taking a 500 kilogram bomb, they went with 50-kilogram bombs.
Oh.
And missiles. And so when they fire rockets, they're firing small rockets. And the idea is to, again, asymmetric warfare, to drain the interceptor resources, drain the resources of the bigger power. And so that's how they've been fighting. And so one of the other ways they do that is they have this anti-tank launcher, and it has a 10-kilometer range. And so if they are 10 kilometers away, then they can strike a tank if they're coming in with tanks, if Israel's coming in with tanks, okay? So if they push beyond 10 kilometers and they have a line there, they can bring their tanks in. And those anti-tank weapons can't reach them. Does that make sense? I was looking at a lot of weird missiles last night.
Well, I was gonna say sounds with some innuendo, but we won't even go there.
Oh, no, I was naked in the mirror looking at myself.
Yeah, but you were looking at actual missiles and tank you for sure.
Yeah. All right, so but let me show you the map of where Israel's, again, by the way, this is a map that Israel released themselves, the IDF released.
Oh, good. So it's completely real.
Well, we can say it's accurate to the point of like, they're saying this is either where they are or where they're going to be going. And look, the forward defense line.
It's a defense line that moves forward like an offense. You get it.
So you can see this whole swath at the bottom area here. They have now taken over. They've just taken this place over.
Wow.
And this is like 20 miles. They have, well into the border. All of these neighborhoods have been displaced. And again, all the way up to the Litani River, they have cut off people from the rest of their country.
Wow. I want to say something might be controversial, but you've already said something very controversial. This could just be our controversial show where the social media wizards take the specific clips where we say things controversial and throw them on the internet without any context.
Well, let's hope so.
That map reminds me of what Ukraine looked like after Russia first started going in. You just take over a certain amount of territory, and then now what? It's just war-torn war zones, I guess, for a few miles in between the two countries. Pretty bizarre.
But like, who's backing Lebanon, right? Like, no one's protecting them. The Lebanese president is agreeing to a ceasefire because this decapitation strategy didn't work. And here's the thing. This is, again, back to my original point of why Hezbollah is a proxy. You can see in the way they fight. They did a mosaic defense. So they had a distributed command and control operation. And so when they killed the Secretary General in Beirut, it didn't matter. There were pockets of Hezbollah fighters that had weapons caches, that had, supplies. They had their standing orders that if X, Y, and Z happens, you go ahead and do it. And so that's why Israel's been pushing in so much, is because they feel like they need to try to go after all of these people, which is, again, a huge problem because they're now invading this territory where the president is like, this is not okay. We are agreeing to the ceasefire and the truce that we're trying to do. Hezbollah is not involved with us. Get out of the country. And here's the even more troubling part, which is we've talked about what does Israel want a lot of times on the show. And I've said I think a destabilized Islamic Republic is in their favor, even if it's not the regime. Having a destabilized region is good. Same with Lebanon. For Syria, having a destabilized Syria meant they weren't a problem, right? You can see when Assad fell, they immediately went and took the Golan Heights. And you can see here, who's in southern Lebanon? Most of the Shiites in Lebanon. And so you've displaced almost all the Shiites there. And the country is split 32% Shiite, 32% Sunni, 30% Christian, and about 5% Druze. And get this, Travis, in the Constitution of Lebanon, they have power sharing based on religious sect. So whenever religions get together and try to share power, it always ends wonderfully, right? We have so many people and examples in history where that always works out. And so where did all this stuff come from? I mean, there was a civil war over the sectarian violence and the differences that happened in 1975 in Lebanon, right? I think we all seen movies and heard about that. So you could say, one could postulate that Israel is looking to create another destabilized Lebanon.
Oh, boy.
And the problem is, when you do that, what happened after the civil war before? Hezbollah was created. I think you're only going to see, again, another cycle of violence where you've now driven more people into a violent response to violent actions. Newton's third law.
Right. You create a power vacuum. Even worse people are going to move into the echelons of power.
This idea that you can just airstrike or ground troop and destroy an idea is absurd. Okay? You're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. The only way to do it is with a better idea and with talking. And it's just it's never going to work. If I was the Israeli government, I don't know how you look at your citizens in the eye and say, we're making you safer. It's just not possible.
Sure. Well, yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu's tried to sell that, but he has his own domestic problems politically with corruption trials and everything like that in Israel. So again, like we say on the show, domestic policy becomes foreign policy. And a lot of people have pontificated that that's why Netanyahu's going out on all these military excursions to keep himself safe politically.
Yeah. And I think now we can get to like the 3 M's: munitions, markets, and midterms, right?
Oh, not marshmallows.
There's marshmallows.
Marshmallows,
some marshmallows.
Midnight, and mayhem. Those are my favorite M's.
So first, Israel gets aid from the United States and other people. It also buys weapons. But overall, asymmetric warfare drains the munitions of the people that are the bigger powers, right? Cheap drones versus multi-million-dollar interceptors. We know how that turns out. Second, the markets. The big thing here is the IRGC has made the attacks on Hezbollah and Lebanon as part of the negotiations when it comes to reopening the Strait of Hormuz, which, by the way, it's only closed as long as Iran lets people through. If they keep it closed, like, it's open, though. It's open as long as it's not closed. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, it makes sense. Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember we covered the ideas, at least the idea of the ceasefire. One of, I think, point number 3 was no attacks between Israel and Lebanon. And that is a good point. I think maybe a lot of Americans don't even know that Lebanon's another front in this whole operation.
This is the war no one knows about. And that's the thing that is really distressing. And we can't cover everything that's happening in this entire war every single week, so we want to just take the time to do it here. But again, the midterms, Trump needs to get out of this soon because he's already going to get cooked in the midterms. And I think he's seeing the exit already and he's going to claim victory, even though every Iranian around the world is so offended that he said there's regime change. Even the people in the cult that are in like the Javed Shah cult, if you're not offended by that, you are in a cult. It's like, if this does not offend you to your core, that the president went in and said that they did regime change, this is crazy to me. And then obviously Russia wins here because of the price of oil. They get a huge windfall. And then this whole 4D chess on China, we talked about that last week. We'll see how that turns out. But, this is crazy what's been happening there. They are leveling towns.
Right.
And that is not going to make people feel great about their neighbor, Israel. And so
No. And you also mentioned, how does this impact the everyday American, right? I mean, not just the ceasefire that gets screwed up because of another conflict happening in Lebanon. Like I was telling you, there's a Lebanon, Ohio.
It's
down by Cincinnati. It is nothing like Lebanon in the Middle East. I don't know how they came up with the
name. It's not a
exactly.
Hezbollah stronghold as well?
No, it's more of a place where people go yell at their school boards about books and things like that.
Got it.
But how does Lebanon in the West Asia, aka the Middle East, impact places like Lebanon, Ohio?
Well, the price of gas is going there. And so as long as Hezbollah is part of the Strait of Hormuz negotiations, then it affects the entire global economy. So everyone is impacted. Every price goes up. And then our prices the money that we spend ends up like helping Russia, ends up helping the people that we don't want to help out. So those are just, it's just a mess.
So it seems like everyone who endorsed Viktor Orban a couple of weeks ago, even though he lost, you're looking at Putin-backed Orban, Netanyahu-backed Orban, JD Vance, dumbass, backed Orban. It seems like all the same people who backed Orban are part of this group that are benefiting somehow from this entire conflict, even though it seems like no one else in the world is benefiting.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
I just wanted to check.
I think we got to a lot of great stuff there. This is a mess. Anyways, let's take a break. We're going to come back. We have like some brief good news. We have some funny news, and we have some more terrible news to make bearable for you. It's the Foreign Report. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Seena and Travis. We're back. We covered the Lebanon war that no one is talking about, or at least some people were talking about it. Some people asked us to talk about it, but we can't cover it because the war in Iran, it's like a little bit of like a reprieve. It's a little bit of a break right now, but still it's not a break for the people of Lebanon that are getting crushed by airstrikes right now. I don't know. They've been displaced. We all know how that ends up as far as like, war crimes go. But I mean, the list of war crimes, it's just, there's not enough paper.
Well, it's not a war and it's not a crime, so it can't be a war crime, Seena, because it's not a war.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I needed that. Let's talk about the Pope. Something we don't really talk about.
The Pope has opinions about the war that's not a war, Seena, and I think it's very interesting that he's sharing them out loud.
It's crazy what's happening. On April 7th, Easter Sunday, Trump posted some insane tweets about Iran, one of which was threatening to blow up the whole civilization. And the same day, Pope Leo called those tweets, quote, truly unacceptable and urgent. And here we go. I'm going to read what the Pope said.
Please.
The words, the man who speaks to God.
Yes. Infallible.
Citizens of all countries involved to contact the authorities, political leaders, congressmen, to ask them to work for peace and to reject war. Always. Over the course of the next few days, of course, while negotiators were trying to hammer out a ceasefire, the Pope continued to call for peace. As you know, popes tend to ask for peace. He said, quote, enough of the idolatry of self and money, enough of the display of power, enough of war. True strength is shown in serving life. And then, Trump called the Pope and said, you're right. I'm done.
Yeah, that's what he said. I'm sure that's what he said. I'm sure they had a very spirited and reasonable argument. Or do you want me to read you what Trump actually posted when he was told what the Pope said?
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Here we go. Pope Leo is weak. All caps, on crime and terrible for foreign policy. He talks about fear of the Trump administration, but he doesn't mention the fear that the Catholic Church and all other Christian organizations had during COVID when they were arresting priests, ministers, and everybody else for holding church services, even when going outside and being 10 and even 20 feet apart. Seena, I don't even know. I didn't even know that this was that. I thought, I know there's more, but I didn't know he was going to bring up COVID. That's what he's going for?
This man's brain is broken.
Oh my God. Also, this Pope wasn't Pope back then. Anyway, all right. I'm already I am not even halfway through this thing. I like his brother, Louis. He likes his brother much better than I like him because Louis is all MAGA. He gets it, and Leo doesn't. I don't want a pope who thinks it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I don't want a pope who thinks it's terrible that America attacked Venezuela, a country that was sending massive amounts of drugs into the United States, and even worse, and emptying their prisons, including murderers, drug dealers, and killers, into our country. This is
part
so
two.
Unhinged. This is
part
so
two.
Unhinged. Oh God, I'm gonna need to drink more coffee. Hold on. Good thing I put whiskey in my coffee this morning. And I don't want a pope who criticizes the president of the United States because I'm doing exactly what I was elected in a landslide, all caps, but it wasn't a landslide, Seena, to do. setting record low numbers in crime and creating the greatest stock market in history. Leo should be thankful because, as everyone knows, he was a shocking surprise. He wasn't on any list to be Pope. Oh my God. I'm almost through it all. And he was only put there by the church because he was an American and they thought that would be best way to deal with President Trump. He always talks about himself in the third person in these things. So annoying. All right, I'm not even done yet. If I wasn't in the White House, Leo wouldn't be in the Vatican. Wow. Bold statement. Unfortunately, Leo's weak on crime. I already said that. Weak on nuclear weapons. I already said that.
How does he capitalize the word so much? I don't understand.
Like randomly? I don't.
Like he's doing it from his phone, and he has to do with his like his just thumb smashing the caps lock all the time.
Maybe he does the dictate to phone. I mean, I don't even think you know how to do that.
Can't you say that? I don't. All right, go on. This is
all right. I'm almost done. He's repeating himself, though, at this point. He's saying he's weak on crime, weak on nuclear weapons, does not sit well with me, nor does the fact that he meets with Obama sympathizers like David Axelrod. Dude, these are deep cuts. This is insane. All right, I'm sorry. I'll finish. A loser, all caps, from the left who is one of those who wanted churchgoers and clerics to be arrested. He's back on that. We're almost done. Leo should get his act together as Pope, use common sense, stop catering to the radical left, and focus on being a great Pope, not a politician. It's hurting him very badly, and more importantly, it's hurting the Catholic Church, President Donald J. Trump. All caps.
He kicked the only Catholic out of his prayer circle.
Dude, and JD's not even a real Catholic. He converted in 2019 out of convenience. This is unhinged, dude. That was even crazier than I thought it was going to be.
And Pope Leo, of course, responds, this is great. They're going back and forth. He says, I have no fear of the Trump administration or speaking out loudly of the message of the gospel, which is what I believe and I'm here to do. He also said the name of Trump's social media site, Truth Social, was, quote, ironic. Say no more. I mean.
Oh, deep cut for the Pope. Dude, you're beefing with the Pope. And I remember seeing a clip of Trump when they were asking about this, and he was like, I love the gospel. I'm all about the gospel. Like, he literally yelled that at reporters, and it's just like, I don't think he is all about the gospel, Seena.
Then Trump does then the Jesus pick happens.
Then he did the I am Jesus.
And then, I am Jesus. And then
people got mad about that.
And he said, no, I thought I was a doctor.
I'm a doctor. I actually thought I was a doctor. But
doctor. It turns out it sounds like someone told him, no, say that it was doctored.
Doctored.
And because that's what Carolyn Levitt kept saying. It was a doctored image. Because it had like the devil in the background and stuff like that.
And I'm a doctor, but it was doctored.
And so he said, I'm a doctor.
Oh my gosh.
This is classic old senile man stuff.
And then, then the Democrats said you need to see a doctor. It's different. Yes.
Oh, thanks. God. And they and Chuck Schumer wrote that in a letter and hand-delivered it.
Sternly written letter.
Sternly written letter.
Very, very good. Holy moly. And this is all in the matter of the last few weeks. It's like, that was Easter. It all started on Easter Sunday, and it is now, May? It's almost May. Well, this is bonkers. I can't imagine where it's going to go from here, but if I had a choice between the Pope and any president, I'm not even Catholic, Seena. I think I would have to choose. At least this Pope's fun. He goes to baseball games. He's a White Sox fan, so he knows disappointment when he sees it.
And yet again, the Trump administration is making the Catholic Church, purveyor and hider of a ton of sexual abuse, look good. They're making the Catholic Church look like the good guys again.
Oh my God.
What it's crazy. This shouldn't be happening.
No. So, if it's the Epstein class versus the Catholic priest class.
Don't make me choose, Travis.
Don't make me choose. I don't want to choose. I just want to hang out with my friends.
I guess I gotta choose the Catholic Church. Oh,
ugh, that's crazy.
This is terrible.
We'll see what
happens.
Why
do we have to choose? Why are we even choosing? We gotta get rid of this choosing sides thing.
How about you and I go to a Unitarian church sometime? I hear they're
I'm not going to a church, bro.
I hear they at least clap for the songs. That's what When I was growing up Presbyterian, I was like, why don't we clap when they're done
If
singing?
Eminem headlines a Unitarian church, I'll go. That's
All right.
about it.
Count me in.
Shall we move on?
Oh,
Cash
please.
Patel.
Surely there can't be any more good news out there, Seena.
The Atlantic wrote an incredible story about Cash Patel. And notably, my kids love it when I do my, hey, it's Cash Patel. That's what I do. I do this thing. Kids, go to bed. You got to get into the bath because Cash Patel's going to come and get you. And now my kids will run up to me and say, do Cash Patel, do Cash Patel.
That's very funny. I mean, maybe not the last face you want to see before you fall asleep. So maybe
I know.
Maybe make it a morning bit, like when they're going to school, like Cash Patel going to drive you to school. Although I don't think anyone wants Cash Patel driving anywhere.
I don't think so either, because he's hammered all the time, apparently. He's not handling the stress very well. This week, The Atlantic published an article in which numerous sources allege Patel is, quote, erratic, suspicious of others, and, quote, prone to conspicuous inebriation and unexplained absences, which is exactly what you want from the head of the FBI.
Yeah.
They called his tenure at the FBI, quote, a management failure and personal behavior as a national security vulnerability. This is like crazy. I mean, the piece closes with this gem from an anonymous official. Anonymous said, quote, part of me is glad he's wasting his time on bullshit because it's less dangerous for the rule of law for the American public, but it also means we don't have a real functioning FBI director.
Wow. Which is exactly what Trump wanted. Remember when we were talking about removing figureheads, the idea of decapitation, so chaos ensues?
Oh, yeah.
That seems to be because Trump hated the FBI when James Comey was in charge of it, because Comey, I mean, I think Comey barely would have a beer. But
well, that's the thing. I think it's showing that like the FBI works very well, even when there's an idiot at the helm.
Wow. And that's the deep state at work, isn't it?
It's still running.
Again, this is what happened during Trump's first administration as well, is he made me have to start cheering for the deep state. And I don't care for the deep state. But yeah, if you could have a guy who's just hammered all the time in charge of the deep state, and the deep state just like, let him sleep till noon.
I thought the private jet thing was going to be where this whole thing peaked.
No.
You know, I thought that, no. He's just absent, terrible, a terrible boss. Pops off. He said that, I saw him on the news and stuff. He said that he was going to file a defamation lawsuit. Apparently that has now been filed. It's a $250 million defamation lawsuit, which, folks, let me just dust off the old law degree here.
Yeah, you're a law degree guy. Where do you think
it's going to be
goes?
On cash to prove it's a lie.
Oh, no. So he just set himself up.
So discovery of that process is going to be incredible.
Oh,
and good luck if
no.
you think, by the way, The Atlantic is not CBS. The Atlantic, they're small enough to stand up to the Trump administration, which I think is to their advantage.
Right. They're not seeking a big merger with the FCC or anything like that.
Exactly. So I think this really strikes in their favor. This is also a slam dunk of a case, I think. Like, please, I wish someone would bring a defamation like this against me. That would be fantastic. It'd be such an easy win.
I mean,
you want me to like...
Do your Cash Patel again. I bet he'll sue us. Let's go.
Cash Patel! Cash Patel!
Wow, there he is.
I love private jets.
Of course.
And my kids are like, ha, Daddy, you're so funny.
It's also funny to me now that we know why he needs to take the private jets everywhere. He can't drive. He's hammered.
He's hammered. That's right. I mean, add this to the list. I saw this. The labor secretary drinks on the job and she's leaving. Right. We had Christy Nome, that whole thing, Signalgate. I mean, it's just...
Hegseth is apparently hammered all the time. He is... we knew that going in. He's like, I'm a gin guy. And he said it openly. But, I think he's apparently also not handling the stress of the job very well.
These guys like to party. Who would have thought?
I mean, who doesn't? But also, we're not in charge of the most powerful institutions in the country.
Oh, my God.
Try an edible. That's what I would tell him.
Well, hey, this Cash Patel... That was a great segment, Travis. I think we should take a quick commercial break and let our sponsors, Halliburton, come on in.
It's a great idea, Cash. And when we come back, we'll talk about your other good friend, JD Vance.
Welcome back to the Foreign Report. This has been a heck of a show. We've gone from Lebanon. We've gone to the Vatican. And we went to Bulgaria. And
we don't know where that is. We don't know where we're still looking for Bulgaria in the same way everyone's looking for Melania in theaters.
Next to New Zealand. Let's go to then hey, Cash Patel. Now we're back to everyone's favorite segment.
Chance, it's JD Vance. No, wait, he sucks.
Club remix, ladies and gentlemen. Always, I will repeat. Once I hear my own voice, I'm like, I sound so dumb. But you know what? I'm just going to talk more. So how about that?
There we go.
You talked about Turning Point, and you made a very appropriate, non-controversial comment about how in some cases removing the head of an organization actually works. And Turning Point USA recently had their annual whatever the hell. People sit around and say bullshit. And this is interesting because after Charlie Kirk's assassination, Erica Kirk did take over. And that, as you have rightly pointed out, has been very controversial in and of itself, Seena. Many people do not trust Erica Kirk. There's been so many rumors flying around about her and her deep state ties, how the entire Turning Point USA organization is being funded, and it has gotten so serious that Erica Kirk herself had to back out of the Turning Point USA event over, quote, serious threats. And this caused her side piece, JD Vance, to basically...
Sorry, can I just ask you this? Like threats on her safety?
Yeah, she didn't feel safe going, but this is the thing, and I think it's more about, and we're about to...
Has it the worst already happened, Erica?
Erica! No, here's the thing, and that's the thing. That could have been a guise, right? It could have just been a smoke screen, because she knew what ended up, and we're going to play these clips here, what ended up happening to JD Vance at the Turning Point event was definitely going to happen to her if she got on a stage and tried to speak, because per your point earlier, chaos has now taken over Turning Point and people are openly disagreeing. I mean, the Iran war, as you know, has divided the MAGA world, right? I mean, we're talking about Trump beefing with the Pope, but also notably, he's now beefing with Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and even Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Former supporters, ardent supporters of Trump. I mean, now my algorithm is just Alex Jones yelling about Trump, which is, I'm definitely going to watch those clips. So now this has all happened to Turning Point as well. And what I want to show you, because this is the JD Vance Corner, JD, after first he talked about his good friend / side piece, Erica Kirk, was not able to be there, which I'm sure made him very upset already because he didn't get to have a little fun there at the Turning Point event. But he did try to talk to everyone about the Iran war. And I want you to play this clip, Seena, because as what could have happened to Erica Kirk if she tried to get on stage and talk to a crowd like this, you can see there were members of the crowd at Turning Point who were not happy with JD Vance and how he was explaining away the Iran war. This is, again, as we've said in this segment and on this show for about a year now, over a year, JD Vance's job is to go explain what the hell the Trump administration is doing and to sell it to the everyday American people. He tries to do it here in front of what he thinks is a friendly crowd, and the results go exactly as you should expect.
So the Pope said something where he said, and I'm going to try to remember the exact quote, but he said that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword.
This ties into what we talked about earlier as well, Seena. I mean, JD is trying to, again, justify the fact that the president was beefing with the Pope. And JD is a supposed Catholic. He converted. It's not real. It's for politics. But go on, JD.
The side of those who wield the sword. I'm pretty sure that he said that exact statement. Now, on the one hand, again, I like that the Pope is an advocate for peace. I think that's certainly one of his roles. On the other hand, how can you say that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword? Was God on the side of the Americans who liberated France from the Nazis? Was God on the side of the Americans who liberated Holocaust camps and liberated those innocent people from those who had survived the Holocaust? I certainly think the answer is yes, and I agree. Jesus Christ does not. I agree. Jesus Christ certainly does not support genocide. Whoever yelled that out from the dark, he certainly does not. I think that's pretty easy. I think that's a pretty easy principle.
Got him to say genocide. That's a step.
Boom, right? Because he had to take it off of his social media when he talked about the Armenian genocide. But this is what happened. He got heckled, and you can't really hear it with the microphones. But somebody said Jesus Christ does not support genocide. Now, keep in mind, Charlie Kirk was very against the Iran war. There are all these, this Joe Kent guy was talking to Tucker Carlson. He said the last time he saw Charlie Kirk was at the White House, and Charlie Kirk told Joe Kent, do not let the president go to war in Iran. So this is the thing, that now you're having some true Charlie Kirk faithfuls here at the Turning Point event who are not for this war in Iran. And now that JD Vance is trying to have to explain this, he's getting heckled by those very people. Let's see, play a little bit more of it. I think it gets even more heated and JD sounds even dumber.
So genocide in Gaza.
They're talking about Gaza.
Let me just say this. This is a guy.
There we go.
No.
But the boos are happening now.
First of all, random dude who's shouting, can I finish my point and then I'll respond to what you just shouted? Is that okay? Okay, great.
Yeah, can we give him 1 second to answer?
All right, cut it off.
Wait, first off, it's like random dude and shit. Why? This is bad crowd work. First of all, you're a politician.
Right.
This should be very normal that everyone you encounter in an audience is a random dude.
A random dude in the audience. Exactly. And that's the thing. And yeah, you can kill it from here. People can go check it out. This keeps going for a few more minutes, but JD just continues to shovel his bullshit on behalf of this administration. But what we try to do here with this segment every week for the last year, we show the cracks in the MAGA ceiling, Seena. And that is where JD Vance, he's used to being in front of a friendly crowd. And I'm sure that's what he was expecting when he got up there to justify all of this. And thankfully, random dude in the audience, I support that guy more than I support JD Vance or anyone else in this administration.
Good Christian values. That's what I see there. That's what I see.
Also, how do we know it wasn't the Pope in the crowd?
That's the random dude.
You're being heckled by the Pope, dude. And that guy doesn't even heckle the White Sox.
There we go. Listen. Great show, Travis. Thank you so much. You'll be back in studio next week, right?
We're back in studio, baby, after a brief visit to Lebanon, Ohio, so I can explain to them why the war is working in their favor.
Well, we look forward to having you. If you haven't already, sign up for our newsletter. We give you updates. If you missed the episode, we give you updates on a breakdown of what happened to the show. We'll be letting you know about cool stuff that we'll be doing in the future. Find us on all the socials, Travis Irvine USA, Foreign Report Show, Seena Now. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, all of you, for bearing with us. This is the Foreign Report. We'll see you next week.